Hmm. You know what? The first thing that comes to mind for that is oftentimes it's out of desperation. Nothing else is working, you know? And you reach a point where you just can't go on living the way you were once living. You know, for me, I had toyed with the idea for a few months, doing ketamine therapy, but my life was comfortable. I was miserable, but my life was comfortable. And so I chose not to do it. And then when my life started to unravel, I was going through a divorce. I was exiting a business that I had created and put my heart and soul into. I was burned out, and I didn't really want to live, but I didn't want to die either, right? It's kind of hard to explain. It's like this thing where it's like, basically I don't want to go on living how I was living, right? And so that's why I chose to do ketamine, because why not? Let me try something different. What I'm doing isn't working, right? So, yeah. Ketamine opened my heart. I had all these layers built around my heart of protection. It was these layers of protection over years and years of trauma and, you know, betrayal and heartaches and all these things. So my heart became very calloused and closed. And what the ketamine did was allow it to open up. It allowed me to love myself, basically. It allowed me to find my own self-love. Self-love. You know, self-love is something that I hadn't really ever experienced probably since I was a child. And I found myself, you know, trying to prove my worth through my work, through how my body looked. And I never thought about that I was worthy enough just by being who I am. And the ketamine helped me to realize that. And when I say ketamine, I need to be clear. Ketamine is the key. It is something that allows you to unlock the door to yourself. And so after you do the ketamine, then there's work that follows, and that's called integration. And it was through the integration that I was able to find myself coming back to myself, finding that self-love, settling and dealing with some of the traumas, learning that, you know, say for instance, you know, somebody that hurt me in my life, right? Before I had done ketamine, it was like blaming them. After doing ketamine, I was able to see it from their point of view. They were wounded too. Hurt people, right? So it's like, imagine you have a box. Before ketamine, I could only see one side of the box, right? Just this flat part. After doing ketamine, I was able to see the bottom of the box, behind the box, the top of the box, and inside of the box. I had a multi-layered view. And with that view, it allowed for more healing because I saw things in a different light. I think I'm just going to continue to roll here. I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of stigma. When people do psychedelics, one of the things that, you know, you might hear is, oh, they changed. They turned into a different person, right? They're wearing more colors, or they're more expressive now, or they talk differently, they talk about God or whatever. And it's like, and so they think it changes you. And in reality, yeah, it does. But it brings you home to yourself, your true self, who you were before you were programmed by society, who your mom told you to be, your teacher told you to be, who the media told you to be, wear these clothes, act this way, right? And so I think that could be scary for some people. You know, people are often scared of what they don't understand. You know, I had struggled with, anxiety, depression. I had a lot of anger. I was very prone to emotional outbursts because I had a dysregulated nervous system. And I remember looking into MDMA therapy. And, since MDMA therapy is underground, I couldn't find a facilitator. And that's when I, found out about ketamine therapy and I started researching it. And, quite frankly, where I was in my state of mind, it kind of seemed, a little scary. It seemed like, okay, this is different. And so I looked into it, but I didn't move forward with it. And then months later, I ended up going through a divorce, and I exited a business that I had created and spent years building, put my heart and soul into. And so literally within a 6-month period, my whole life was dissolving. The life that I had created and once knew. And I was having trouble coping with that. On top of all the stuff that I already had. I was burned out, I had anxiety, depression, all these things. And so I was like, why not? Why not try ketamine? Let's go. I was ready to go. So I had gotten to a point where I could no longer live how I was living, and so that's why I made the decision to give it a shot. And I'm so glad I did. I have a greater connection to Source now. God, the universe. I'm just more connected. Prior to doing ketamine or any psychedelics, I didn't have that connection. I had lost that connection, or at least I wasn't in touch with it. And so ketamine opened me up to the greater possibilities of what we are in our existence. It expanded my consciousness, expanded my awareness. And I just view things differently. I'm more present. My nervous system is more settled. I don't have the reactions that I used to have. And I don't take things for granted. Okay, maybe sometimes, but then the universe reminds me really quick, like, oh yeah, okay. Jump in with both feet. Yeah. Look, there's a saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And the way ketamine works, it's like think of a ski slope, okay? And on the ski slope, you have these grooves where the skiers are going down and creating these grooves, right? And so everybody follows those same grooves. And that's what happens in your brain. You get caught in these thought patterns and these loops. So when you do ketamine, it puts a fresh coat of snow down, allowing you to create new paths. So if you're more prone to addictions, you're less likely to lean into those addictions. If you have limiting beliefs, oh, I can't do that because X, Y, and Z, those limiting beliefs start to dissipate as a result. Yeah, I'd like to speak to the men. There is roughly 500,000 people worldwide that commit suicide. And 75 to 80% of those are men. Men feel like they have to take it on, they have to take this masculine, they got to hold everything, and they can't be vulnerable. And as a result, it ends up crumbling them, burning them out, leading to this hopeless despair. And I would say it's not weak to be vulnerable to try something different. Try ketamine. Try some sort of psychedelic with guidance in a proper setting, in a ceremony. And just try something different. Give yourself a chance. Because we need more healed people. We need more healed men in the world. It's needed more than ever.